Sukadev Bretz is founder of Yoga Vidya. He knows how to transmit profound wisdom humorously. His special ability is to motivate yoga aspirants to practice intensely, to see a higher meaning in daily experiences, and to bring more energy and heart into everyday life. Sukadev Bretz is the author of 10 books, among them commentaries on Yoga Sutra and Bhagavad Gita and the recently published Royal Path to Equanimity. He is quite active, spreading yoga via the internet in yoga videos and podcasts in English and German. Sukadev had spiritual experiences from childhood on. As a youngster, he was fascinated by the possibilities of the human mind and started with regular meditation as a teenager. He used to spend a few times several months in intense meditation and pranayama. In 1992, Sukadev founded Yoga Vidya, now one of the leading yoga movements in Europe. Yoga Vidya has 4 major ashrams, nearly 100 yoga centers, and 20,000 yoga teachers. Today, he lives in Germany, in Hornbad, Mainburg. Get inspiration and energy from this dynamic spiritual teacher. Please welcome Sukadev ji.
Namaste and greetings.
Most welcome, Sukadev ji. Most welcome. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
Stage is all yours. Yes.
Namaste and greetings to all of you. It's an honor for me to be here today at the United Consciousness Conclave for the International Week of Peace, and we can reflect on how we as a global community can cultivate hope and resilience in the face of adversity. I've been on 2 boards of advisors of United Consciousness for over 4 years. It's wonderful to be part of this movement to overcome divides and to propagate peace, understanding, and a spirit of loving kindness. It seems cultivating the feeling of being united in the depth of our consciousness is more important than ever. September 21st is the United Nations International Day of Peace. Let's celebrate peace with this International Week of Peace. My theme today is spirituality as a resource of hope and resilience in the face of adversity. In times of hardship, when the world around us feels uncertain and fragile, it is natural for us to search for sources of strength, clarity, and hope. Spirituality, as I have experienced it through my journey with yoga, offers profound wisdom and can serve as a resource to navigate life's challenges and strengthen resilience. Today, I would especially like to share with you 7 key principles of spirituality that can guide us in finding peace, hope, and resilience, even in the most difficult times. These principles are rooted in ancient spiritual traditions and are universal in their wisdom, transcending cultures, religions, and geographical boundaries. These 7 principles are Sanskrit terms: Brahman, Maya, Dukkha, Moksha, Abhyasa, Karma, and Kripa. I want to begin with the first one, Brahman. Brahman, the first principle. Brahman is in Vedanta the concept of the ultimate reality, the infinite consciousness that pervades everything. It is the source of all creation, the essence of our existence. When we remember that we're part of this vast interconnected universe, we can find a sense of peace and belonging. Adversity can often make us feel small, isolated, helpless. But when we connect with Brahman, we realize that we're never truly alone. There's a divine presence within us and through us, and we can tap into boundless strength. In moments of crisis, this awareness of our unity and the infinite can provide profound hope. In addition to that, Brahman is always there. It's the eternal principle. So even if on a physical plane, on other planes, things happen, in the depth, nothing can happen to us. Second principle is Maya. Maya means illusion. Maya is the veil that makes us believe that we are separate from Brahman, that we're separate from the divine, that we're separate from other human beings. But as spiritual beings, we know that this material existence is transient. By recognizing the illusory nature of the world, we can step back from our immediate fears and difficulties and see them for what they are, temporary. Maya reminds us that while our suffering may feel overwhelming, it is not the totality of existence. This shift in perspective can help us approach adversity with greater calm and detachment. Knowing that there is Maya, we can also have some humor because we know we are subjugated to Maya. We might just delude ourselves. Some of our suffering is actually just in our mind. And by knowing that this can be like that, sometimes we can just get more equanimous. The third of these principles is dukkha. Dukkha means suffering. Dukkha reminds us that suffering is an inevitable part of life. It is important to acknowledge this truth. Adversity is not something we can avoid, but something we must accept and transcend. As long as we have the illusion that if we are just sufficiently good, we act sufficiently wonderful, then there would be no suffering. Then we create superfluous problems for us. Knowing dukkha is part of life helps. The Buddha said the first of the four truths is all life is suffering. Patanjali, the author of the Yoga Sutra, also says, if summarizing one verse a little shorter, Savam dukkam vivekinaha. Somebody of wisdom knows there will be suffering. When we recognize that dukkha, suffering, is part of existence, then we can build resistance because we stop resisting the reality of pain and instead focus on how we can grow through it. Suffering, while difficult, is often a doorway to deeper understanding and spiritual evolution. But how do we move beyond suffering? This leads us to the fourth principle. Fourth principle is moksha, liberation. Moksha is the ultimate goal of spiritual practice, the state of being free from the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, and from the chains of attachment and ignorance. In the face of adversity, the idea of moksha reminds us that true peace does not lie in external circumstances, but in inner freedom. Liberation is not about escaping life's challenges, but about finding peace within, regardless of what is happening around us. When we cultivate this inner freedom, we become unshakable, no longer defined by external difficulties. Moksha is also the basic source of hope. On long term, we'll all reach liberation. Yoga Vedanta says, we will reincarnate again and again until we reach moksha. This might be a few more lives, and this might be disturbing. But on the other hand side, one day we'll reach this moksha permanently. But we don't need to wait for the full moksha. Moksha also means it's possible that we experience Brahman, our true nature. And if we again and again have spiritual practices with which we can touch the depth of our being, the depths of the universe, then we will be full of peace. Again and again, it is good to have spiritual experiences, to stand in awe in front of the divine. So moksha reminds us true peace and true happiness can be found inside. In order to come to reach these spiritual experiences and finally come to moksha, there is the fifth principle, which is abhyasa. Abhyasa means sustained practice. Abhyasa teaches us that resilience is not just a trait we are born with. It is something we can develop through consistent and spiritual practice. Whether it's through yoga, meditation, prayer, or service, we must dedicate ourselves to practices that keep us connected to our higher self. In times of adversity, abhyasa becomes even more important. When life feels overwhelming, our spiritual practices are our anchor, grounding us in the present moment and reminding us of our deeper purpose. Through consistent practice, we cultivate the inner strength to face challenges with grace. So, abhyasa has several aspects. It has the deep spiritual practices which help us to find the divine in us. Abhyasa is also the practice to cultivate the feeling of the divine in daily life. When we see another human being, we can try to really feel connected to the heart of the other. And this heart-to-heart connection invokes love and understanding. When life is like that we feel squeezed, we can make effort to feel wide and to feel connected with all beings. And when we feel like we cannot do anything, we can still practice surrender. We can still practice seeing the divine everywhere. Next important principle is karma, the law of action and reaction. Karma reminds us that every action we take has an impact, not just on ourselves, but on the world around us. In the face of adversity, it can be easy to feel powerless, as though our efforts to create positive change are insignificant. But karma reminds us that every action matters. Even in the darkest times, we have the power to act with compassion, integrity, and love. Each small act of kindness, each moment of mindfulness contributes to the common good. The understanding of karma empowers us to be agents of positive change, even when the world feels chaotic. Karma also means learning from everything that happens. Life is a school in which we can learn. When you face adversity, you can always think of, what can I learn? Which powers and virtues should I cultivate? How will this situation help me grow? In times of adversity, different courses of actions arise. Should I be patient? Should I wait? Should I retreat? Should I be courageous? Should I fight? Should I be creative? Should I learn to understand the perspective of my adversary? Can I transform the adversary into a friend? Can we cooperate instead of fighting? Should I surrender and offer everything to God or a higher reality? Each of these behaviors can be important. Understanding the law of karma means whatever happens, that I can learn and I can grow. Nobody is responsible for our suffering, but we receive the lessons we need to learn. Finally, I come to the seventh of these principles. After Brahman, Maya, Dukkha, Moksha, Abhyasa, Karma, the seventh is Kripa, divine grace. No matter how much effort we put into our spiritual practice, there are times when we must surrender and trust in a higher power. Kripa reminds us that grace is always available to the universe. The universe is benevolent, and we are supported in ways we may not understand. In moments of deep adversity, when our own strength feels insufficient, we can open our hearts to divine grace. It is in this surrender that we find peace, knowing that we're cared for by something greater than ourselves. These 7 principles, Brahman, Maya, Dukkha, Moksha, Abhyasa, Karma, and Kripa, provide a roadmap for navigating the difficulties of life with hope and resilience. They teach us that suffering is part of the human experience, but it is not the ultimate reality. They remind us that through constant practice, through mindful action, and through trust in the divine, we can transcend our difficulties and find inner freedom. As we come together today to honor peace, let us also honor the spiritual journey that leads to peace. Let's recognize that while external peace is essential, true and lasting peace begins with each of us. By embracing these principles in our own lives, we become beacons of hope and resilience for others. We become vessels of peace in the world. In closing, I invite each of you to reflect on these principles and to consider how you can apply them in your own life, especially in moments of hardship. When we root ourselves in spirituality, we can tap into an infinite source of hope and strength. It is from this place of inner peace that we can create a more peaceful, just, and compassionate world for all. Thank you, and may peace be with you all. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om Tat Sat, respected Sukadevji. So beautifully, eloquently, you mentioned specific 7 principles. I have heard all these words, but the way you connected it is very thought-provoking. You mentioned that Brahman is understanding our true divine nature, higher purpose of life. But when we know that we are having a divine nature, but Maya is that illusion of separation from that oneness or purpose of life. You mentioned that suppression leads to dukkha. Third, suffering in mind. And you also quoted Buddha, Yoga Sutra, that suffering has the possibility that it can lead us to supreme. And then reaching to the supreme or getting freedom from the suffering of mind, you mentioned it as moksha. And moksha is the peace, is inner freedom, understanding that peace is inner freedom. It is a hope that everybody should have. And in order to get that moksha, get that inner freedom, 5th, you need to do abhyasa, the practice. And more important, you said it is during the time of adversity. And in practice reminds us in adversity our deeper purpose. That was very profound. And when we practice, we need karma to practice it. And karma is action, reaction, laws of action, reaction. This punchline which you said really touched me here. Every action matters. Even in the darkest times, whatever happens, it happens so that we can learn and grow from it. So no blame to anybody. And whenever whatever happens, surrender to the higher will, to the higher power. So profoundly, you said that we are supported by the ways we don't understand. And this, what in United Consciousness also we feel, we are supported by the ways we don't understand. Like your presence, your time, effort, energy here is certainly one of the ways through which divine is manifesting. It's divine's krapa to us. I have one small question, if you may permit me to ask. These concepts are profound concepts in Vedanta, yoga. If I am an atheist, I don't believe in the yoga or Vedanta, what would you suggest to me then? I just got a question on WhatsApp, so I thought just to put
Yes.
it.
Well, a few principles you can still put into action. You can believe in the general good of others. You can still accept that life has ups and downs, and you can still practice certain things which help you to gain balance of mind. You can practice meditation and yoga while being an atheist. They will still help you to become balanced and strong. And even if you don't believe in reincarnation and karma, you can still believe that whatever happens can help you to grow, and you can still believe that in the end things will go well. So some basic principles you can still put into action. But of course, my theme was spirituality as a source, as a resource for resilience and hope. So naturally, I spoke about spirituality, but certain parts of it everybody can use, and you can take use of it.
Perfect, Sukhdev ji. I hope that the person who raised the question must have got the answer. As the topic was on spirituality, so on purpose he spoke on it. But majority of those principles can be equally applied whether you believe in God or you don't. Thank you very much, respected Sukhdev ji. We are really honored to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I humbly thank Shri Sukadev ji for teaching us the practical yoga practices for attuning our mind, body and soul. Thank you very much.